I'm Daniel Bernhard, Executive Director of the Friends of Canadian Broadcasting, and I'm here to thank you for your support this year. It's truly been a year like no other. But despite the challenges, we achieved a great deal together in defense of Canadian culture and democracy. Here's a look back on the year that was. Let's start with the CBC. Back in January, a blue ribbon panel called for sweeping reforms to our entire media system, including far more money for the CBC and far more independence for the CBC, as well as strong regulation of American tech companies like Google and Facebook. Friends was a major contributor to this panel, and it was really great to see our hard work pay off. Later in February, we submitted a hefty brief to the CRTC as part of its process to renew the CBC's broadcasting license. Now, this work is not sexy, but it is vitally important that we, the audience, have a voice in regulatory proceedings, and Friends moves heaven and earth to make that happen. In March, CBC management canceled local TV newscasts right across the country just as the pandemic was taking hold and replaced them with a single program from Toronto. It was a total shocker. So we mobilized our supporters and we succeeded in getting local news reinstated within 2 weeks. And right now, we're mobilizing again against another awful decision by CBC management. It's called Tandem, a so-called sponsored content initiative that threatens CBC's very credibility. Over 500 current and former CBC journalists have joined the campaign, including Michael Enright, who spoke about it in a special telephone town hall with more than 9,000 Friends supporters in November. We've clearly got our work cut out for us in 2021. Conservative leader Erin O'Toole has promised to privatize large parts of the CBC. That's even more radical than anything Stephen Harper proposed. And with an election around the corner, it falls to us to defend our national public broadcaster once again, as we have many times before. Of course, Friends works on more than just the CBC. Facebook and Google continue to devastate Canadian journalism. To prove the point, Friends hit the streets in 7 cities this summer with our Wanted campaign, calling out Mark Zuckerberg for news theft. And Ottawa got the message. Our exact language about American big tech companies appeared in September's throne speech. It was music to my ears. Friends also released a groundbreaking research paper in September called Platform for Harm, which lays out how existing Canadian laws could be used to beat back online harms like child sexual exploitation or death threats against female and racialized politicians. If only our governments would enforce these laws. The paper launched with a live event featuring a special guest, Minister Catherine McKenna, who's now under police protection because of death threats she receives on Facebook. In November, the government tabled long-awaited amendments to the Broadcasting Act, giving us the opportunity to bring Canada's broadcasting policy into the internet age and finally force American tech companies like Netflix to play by our rules. Unfortunately, some parts of the bill could have been written by Facebook, Google, and Netflix themselves. Also missing was any mention of Liberal promises to support and strengthen the CBC. It was a major disappointment, but we responded immediately with a thorough analysis of the bill, and I'm pleased to report that our analysis has shaped the debate that has subsequently taken place in the House of Commons, and we continue to work with the government and all the major opposition parties to share our research and analysis with them in hopes of improving this bill, which will hopefully pass sometime this winter. We care about the Broadcasting Act because we ultimately care about Canadian stories, both journalism and entertainment, that unite us across such a vast geography. These stories are more important than ever during this pandemic when we can't be together physically anymore. So earlier this year, Friends launched Tell Our Stories, a super cool new campaign that spotlights the full range of Canadian life. We commissioned filmmakers, comedians, poets, and journalists from across Canada to tell us a story about their corner of the country. If you haven't seen these short videos yet, I really encourage you to check them out on our YouTube channel. Then this fall, Friends launched The Chesterfield, an original interview series where legendary Canadian artists like Jan Arden and Fred Penner pay tribute to their favorite Canadian art. These entertaining conversations are also very enlightening, and they remind us that our culture is second to none. It's completely and totally worth defending. You can also watch those videos on our YouTube channel, and I highly recommend that you do. In closing, I just want to say that we could not do any of this without you. We don't take money from government, corporations, or any broadcaster. We are people-powered in the truest sense of the term. Friends is supported exclusively by individual Canadians, like you, who believe that a strong public broadcaster, independent and vibrant news media, and a definitive Canadian culture are essential to our independence and democracy. And so before this year is through, I want to thank each and every one of you who supported us financially in 2020 and those of you who supported us in other ways as well. It's not too late to make a donation to catapult us into 2021 with the wind at our back. With the upcoming CBC license renewal, a possible federal election around the corner, and of course the Broadcasting Act still on the table, there's plenty of work to be done. So if you are able, please visit us online at friends.ca/donate to make a contribution in 2020. From all of us at Friends, have a safe and healthy new year. We'll see you in 2021.